All right, welcome to The Explainer. We're diving headfirst into the single biggest week in the watch world, watches and wonders. And this year, wow, the air is just thick with anticipation, and honestly, some pretty major question marks are hanging over the whole thing.
So, what are those big questions exactly? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. We're going to break down all the predictions, the tensions bubbling under the surface, and some of the potential surprises. And to help us navigate all this, we're drawing on some great insights from watch expert Britt Pierce.
Okay, so we've broken this down into 4 key areas. First up, a possible anniversary showdown. Then we'll look at a new era for a couple of industry titans. After that, we have to talk about the elephant not in the room. And finally, we'll get into a bigger question. Who really belongs at the table?
All right, let's get right into it with our first theme, an anniversary showdown. We're talking about a potential family feud, a real sibling rivalry between two absolute powerhouses, Rolex and Tudor. So here's the setup. 2026 is Tudor's 100-year anniversary. Huge deal, right? You'd think the crown, Rolex, would kind of step back and let its sibling, the Shield, have the spotlight. But the more you dig into it, the less likely that seems, not by a long shot.
So why wouldn't Rolex just chill out for a year? Well, there are 3 really good reasons. First, Rolex has its own massive anniversary, 100 years of the Oyster case. I mean, that's the world's first waterproof watch case. It's foundational to who they are. Second, the rumor mill is churning about a potential new land dweller. And third, let's be real, when has Rolex ever been good at being quiet? They don't do backseats.
Okay, moving on. The drama doesn't stop there. Now we're talking about 2 other members of watchmaking's so-called Holy Trinity, Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe. It really feels like we're watching them enter a totally new era.
Audemars Piguet's new CEO, Ilaria Resta, is laying it out pretty clearly. The future for them is all about high complications. You know, these incredibly intricate watches that do way more than just tell time. Think perpetual calendars, chronographs, that kind of thing. It's a huge signal that they're trying to move beyond just being known for one watch. They want to show off their technical chops across their entire lineup.
And that leads us to the big question that's kind of haunted AP for years. Are they just the Royal Oak brand? This is their first time at Watches and Wonders, so this is it. This is their chance to step onto the biggest stage and prove to everyone that there's so much more than that one iconic watch.
It's fascinating because you see these 2 titans running completely different playbooks. AP is going for this accessible, cool vibe. They're trying to connect with a younger audience through things like their AP houses, building that brand awareness. Patek, on the other hand, is all about that old-school psychological scarcity. They want their watches to feel almost mythical, something truly unattainable, and that's their whole mystique.
Okay, for our next section, we've got to talk about the elephant not in the room. I'm talking about Swatch Group. You've got one of the biggest, most powerful players in the entire watch industry, and they are conspicuously absent from the biggest event of the year. So, what's up with that?
This whole thing really goes back a few years. It all kicked off in 2018 when Swatch Group pulled all 18 of its brands, including Omega, out of Baselworld, which was the big show back then. Then, when Watches and Wonders came along, founded by Rolex, Richemont, and Patek, they invited Swatch Group to join, but they've said no every single time.
Their CEO, Nick Hayek, basically had 3 reasons for it. He said, 1, the cost just wasn't worth it. The ROI was bad. 2, these big trade shows are obsolete anyway. And 3, they wanted the freedom to do their own thing, to launch new watches whenever they felt like it.
But here's the thing. Despite all those reasons, Watches and Wonders is a massive success. The buzz is huge, it brings everyone together, the trade show model is clearly working, which, makes Swatch Group's decision to stay away look, well, less like a bold business move and maybe, just maybe, a little bit petty. And all of this brings us to our final and maybe the most interesting question. It's a bit more philosophical, because the debate over who even gets to be at Watches and Wonders, it's really a debate over the soul of the industry itself. Like, what does it even mean to be a proper watchmaker in this day and age?
If you look at who's actually at the show, it's this really interesting mix. You have these ultra-high-end, super exclusive, independent brands right alongside more affordable, entry-level ones. And it's this huge range that gets people talking and asking, what's the real identity of this whole event? This quote right here really nails it. It's pushing back against that old-school, purist attitude, the one that questions why brands like Chanel and Hermes, which some people just dismiss as fashion brands, should be in the same room as the traditional watchmakers. But the thing is, these brands are dead serious about watchmaking. They are pouring money and talent into it, and they're bringing this fresh, creative, whimsical energy to an industry that can be, let's be honest, a little stuffy sometimes. We're talking about a watch with a horse sticking its tongue out, or another with a tiny mechanical robot on the dial. They're absolutely pushing the boundaries in really fun and exciting ways. So, when you put it all together, the family drama, the new strategies from the big guys, the questions about who even belongs, it all points to one thing. This is an industry that's changing, big time. And it leaves us with this one last big question as we watch it all unfold. In a world so built on tradition, who actually gets to decide what happens next?